In today's episode of the ABG Fantasy Football Podcast, Tyler Reveles and Missionary Mike go over the Week 15 starts and sits, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, defense, and much, much more. All right, really quick, we want to do a little update because right after getting done recording this episode, we check our phones and it is updated that the what was it? Say it again.
So they moved a couple of the games around due to the COVID situation. So the Raiders-Browns game that was supposed to be played on Saturday has been moved to Monday. And the Seahawks-Rams game and the Washington-Eagles game have been moved to Tuesday. So obviously the Rams got hit pretty hard with COVID. I think the Seahawks as well. I think Tyler Lockett was supposed to be out due to COVID reasons. So I'm not sure what happened with Washington. I know Heineke had it. Eagles players, I'm not sure. I can't think of any Eagles players off the top of my head that had gotten any COVID. But obviously the NFL thought that those games were, the most significant ones in terms of, moving or rescheduling them to, adjust accordingly, make sure these players are playing and all that stuff like that. So I'm expecting, obviously, Monday and Tuesday, so it kind of throws a little wrench in the week in terms of what, you want to do with your lineups here now, because it's like, hey, now I got to wait possibly till Monday to find out if these guys are playing. Odell Beckham came out and he tested negative, so it looks like Odell Beckham Jr. will be back this week right here. Like I said, we'll see what happens with Heineke. Maybe Heineke can come back for the Washington football team here. We'll see if some of these Browns players can come back. Maybe Jarvis Landry, maybe Baker Mayfield, maybe Case Keenum.
So it does change, throws a wrench in a lot of what we put in the episode. So we just wanted to update that before this episode starts.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just so we got monitor that. We'll keep you guys updated here. But I'm expecting fantasy leagues to format it to where these Monday, Tuesday games will count for the Week 15 point total for the first round of the playoffs. So
which is gonna be rough. It's gonna be weird, especially for playoffs. It affects a lot. So
I just dropped my streaming defense to Jaguars to get the Raiders, and now I'm thinking like, oh man, if these Browns players come back, I don't really like the Raiders defense that much in Cleveland. So, so we'll see what happens.
Okay. Well, just updated. So here's the episode.
Bing, boom,
bam, 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 bam. Welcome. It's the AVG Fantasy Football Podcast, Season 4. This is Week 15, starts and sits, all the best options. These are not obvious ones. These are kind of middle tier guys that we want to talk about for Week 15. It's the first week of playoffs.
First week, baby. Hopefully you got that bye. Secure that first round bye. You're already in the second round. You're waiting for your opponent. Or you could be like Mike, and you could be in the first round, and you could have 4 Chiefs players, and you could have 110 points already.
Yes. I was really nervous until the fourth quarter of that game. I think Pat Mahomes had like 4 points before the fourth quarter. But everything came together towards the end. So if you played up against some Chiefs players, maybe some of these guys will help you out. Maybe if you played, your Tyler situation where you played against Travis Kelce this week already.
Yeah, that's terrible. It's not a good start. But it's not how you start. It's how you finish.
Exactly. And we love to finish here at AVG Fantasy.
I just finished a little bit ago.
Yeah.
Drinking my coffee, that is.
Finished drinking my coffee, yep. It's just me and you in here, so that sounds really... Anyways, let's go. Let's go. All right, before we go into, we're going to talk quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, and then some defenses. But before we go into that, I do want to talk about playoffs in general. At this point, there's a lot of players. A lot of people aren't going to be playing, so you're just going to have a couple people in the playoffs. Now, if you look at their lineup, because I do a thing where I'll drop a kicker so I can pick up a player or whatnot. Some people use this strategy, and if they are using that strategy right now on their lineup and they're missing, a defense, or maybe their defense that they have right now is good for this week, but their defense is not going to be good for the next week, go on the waiver wire. If you have extra bench space, just do what you can to prevent the the future opponents from having options. If they're streaming quarterbacks, they don't have that many quarterback options. Make sure you go and swoop those things up. So that way you have a higher chance. It's like preventing points going up against you versus trying to just build your team to put up a lot of points. You could really screw some people over that way. I've done it before. It's nice.
Real nice. Got it on sale. Target.
And then I also wanted to remind people that there is 2 Saturday games this week, being like the first week of playoffs. We have the Raiders playing the Cleveland Browns tomorrow and the Patriots playing the Indianapolis Colts. So that's on Saturday. Just, obviously NFL games usually aren't on Saturday, but towards the end of the season, we get a couple of these double headers on Saturday. So be aware. Make sure you set your lineups. Like if you're watching this video right now or listening to this podcast right now, double check and make sure your lineups are 100% set. You don't want to go in to Sunday and being like, oh, fuck, I totally forgot. Or halfway through Saturday, you get a notification that Dawson Knox or not Dawson Knox, like Hunter Henry or Jonathan Taylor, I don't know, any of these players, putting up points or not before Sunday starts. That would be a nightmare.
Yeah, definitely make sure that your lineup is set. And like Mike said, I mean, even if you have like a first-round bye, don't sleep on the waiver wire. Don't sleep on these players that are out there because, I've said it once and I'll say it a million times. Like I'd rather pick up a player and, have that player put up 30 points on my bench, even though I don't need him, instead of my opponent picked him up and now he scores 30 points on me, and that's the reason why I lost and I got knocked out of the playoffs. So, always be active on the waiver wire, even if you're not playing this week. Even if you feel like you have a pretty good lineup already set, it's like, hey, you're playing defense. I don't want my opponents to have these players, even though I don't need them necessarily. As I'm trying to play keep away from my opponents.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, play keep away. Okay. Well, you want to start?
Let's Chris Brown run it, baby.
Okay. Let's go into the quarterback position for Week 15. Starts and sits. We're going to talk about stock. We're going to stock our boy Matt Stafford Week 15. We're going to say start that man.
Yeah, start that man. I know Mike said some of these were kind of like not the obvious ones, and maybe Stafford might be a little bit more obvious. Maybe even the next guy we talk about too. But I was actually looking at the quarterbacks for this week, and it was just kind of hard. It was kind of like, you're starting your studs and you're, the guys who are, you're probably not streaming quarterbacks at this point. If you're in the playoffs, you're probably not streaming a quarterback. You're not trying to, Tua might have a good matchup, but are you really trying to stream Tua, So it's just like you're starting your guys. And I think I just wanted to come on here and kind of emphasize, the confidence in these guys that I do have starting them. Stafford's one of those guys. I mean, since their Week 11 bye, 21 or more points in all 3 games and 3 touchdowns in all 3 of those games as well. They do lose Odell Beckham Jr. Due to the COVID thing. COVID has been running rampant over there in the Rams facility. I think they have like 20 players that I got tested positive. So, but they still got Van Jefferson, still got Cooper Kupp. Tyler Higbee actually had a false positive. So he missed that game on Monday night for no reason. So he'll at least be there, which he's, a serviceable pass catcher for Matt Stafford. So, yeah, I do feel confident with Matt Stafford. And then if you have Stafford, and you get out of this first round, I mean, the matchups down the stretch are just money. Week 16 at Minnesota, Week 17 against Baltimore. Baltimore down Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey. Their pass defense isn't what it was last year, due to injuries. So, yeah, Stafford is probably going to be leading a lot of people to the promised land and securing that bag in the championships this season.
Yeah, so feel confident playing Matt Stafford. Don't stress about it. And Sean McVay owns the Seahawks. I think he's like his record against the Seahawks is like 8-1. So that helps you out too, maybe. Yeah. But let's go to the next one here. We got our boy Dak Prescott. Yeah. So these quarterbacks, like you said, these ones are going to be on the more obvious side. It's one of those things where it's like we don't want to sit here and tell you to stream a quarterback and then you don't play these guys and you end up playing one of these streaming options and then they don't do that well because when you're streaming you're taking a risk, but no risks in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's like I I forget, what I was reading or what I was listening to, but they were talking about Patrick Mahomes. And I know you've had Patrick Mahomes, Mike, and he's kind of had some down games recently.
Mm-hmm.
And they were kind of talking about like, oh, well, like who, you can't. One guy was saying like you can't trust him, like you should stream this guy, stream that guy, and the other guy was saying like, dude, like you don't fix something if it's not broken. You don't. He got you there regardless of how bad Patrick Mahomes has been playing. You don't. And he's Patrick Mahomes. Like you're playing him. You know what I'm saying? He got you there. You're playing Patrick Mahomes.
Cut you 410 yards, 3 touchdowns, an interception, and a fumble. But
exactly. But he puts up crazy amount of points for your fantasy team. And if you played Patrick Mahomes, you're probably
imagine benching him.
Probably mucho happy right now. But throw Dak Prescott in here because he's actually kind of been in a little slump. I mean, he's been held to under.
Yeah, he's had a couple rough games. 12
fantasy points in 3 of his last 4 games. He only has one 300-yard passing game in his last 6 or 7 games. So when he came out pretty hot, like Hansel. The first 6 weeks, 3 games over 300 yards, and then he had 5 games with 3 or more passing touchdowns. Yeah, since their week 7 bye, he hasn't had a game where he's had 3 or more passing touchdowns in 6 of the 7 games that they've played since the week 7 bye. So he's just been kind of on a downtrend, but I'm still just going to hold confidence in Dak Prescott and this Dallas Cowboys offense. I mean, I have Dak Prescott in 2 leagues, and I'm still rolling him out there with confidence this week. They're going to be against the New York Giants in New York. Last time they played against the Giants, Dak had 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. Obviously, that game was at home, but, it's one of those games where, he obviously, played good against them, last game.
Sure.
So, that game plan should be kind of similar for him. And, when you have weapons like CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, getting a little bit more healthy from the COVID, Dalton Schultz, Michael Gallup's back. Dialing up Dak with some confidence this week. I would be surprised if he comes out and he gets you another dud. I would be shocked. I'd be shocked.
Yeah. And they should increase passing just because they're going to go back and forth between Tony Pollard, well, depending on what's going on, but with them. But I was reading Zeke is supposed to not have all of his big touches like he used to. They're still easing in Zeke. So could be more passing in that regard.
Yeah.
But let's go on to our sit that boy for quarterback position.
Yeah, I think I was going to get your opinion on this one here because, Kirk Cousins has been playing okay. 2 or 3 touchdowns the last couple games. It hasn't been great, but it hasn't been, terrible either. But, the thing that worries me here because it is a good matchup, quote unquote, on paper, but it's in Chicago. Monday Night Football. It's going to be cold. It's going to be a division game. And we just know how Kirk Cousins is in primetime games.
Yeah, primetimes are really sketchy for Kirk Cousins. He just has that issue. I don't know.
And you got no Adam Thielen. He's probably going to miss again. Obviously, we saw KJ Osborne, come out and kind of fill that role last week against the Steelers. But, I hate to say it, Mike, you're a Steelers fan. But the Steelers defense, you could probably, attest to this, hasn't been playing, that Steeler type of level of defense this year, run defense wise and pass defense wise.
Well, I will say that KJ Osborne play was most of his fantasy points came from one big play.
Yeah.
Before that, KJ Osborne, you would have been probably pissed if you streamed him that week. You were probably like, thank God it finally it came through.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know KJ I for fantasy wise, he did fill that role for Adam Thielen, but I don't know if he was. He wasn't the consistent guy. I look at Adam Thielen kind of almost like a Cooper Kupp kind of guy, but
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, it being cold on Monday night, I think I'm with you. I don't know if I trust it against the Bears. I know it's the Bears, but this is a division game too. So you have to put that into play as well. People don't think about that. Division games are always pretty tight. Even the Bears-Packers game was actually not very – that was pretty tight for most of the game actually.
Yeah.
And that's, it's the Bears and the Packers.
Yeah, just only one game over 20 points in his last 5 games. You said it's primetime Kirk Cousins. The reputation is not very good for him. So I'll be trying to look for other options potentially.
Sure.
If I could.
Yeah. Well, you ready to go on to the running back position?
Let's do it.
Running back position, we're going to go to start that man, our favorite. This is one of my favorite guys, Devante Williams. This guy just yards after contact, ex-linebacker. great running back, fun to watch. Starting Devante Williams this week.
Oh yeah, definitely.
At home.
Yeah, the stretch down the run here for him since their Week 11 bye is just money. It's just green rated matchup after green rated matchup after green rated matchup, and it's kind of, a lot of people were kind of comparing Devante Williams to, since they have Melvin Gordon, to kind of having possibly having like a Cam Akers type of season last year, where kind of Cam Akers came on towards the tail end of the year and kind of really turned it on down the stretch for fantasy owners.
It's looking like it.
And helped them out. Yeah, I mean, since their Week 11 bye, fantasy points for Devante Williams, 19, 26, and 21. So, I mean, my guy is hot like Hansel right now. He's officially NBA Jam heating up. So, another good matchup at home against the Cincinnati Bengals. You're not really shying away from that matchup there. Obviously, he's got a split time with Melvin Gordon, but, he's seems to be getting it done. I mean, rushing touchdown. He's had a touchdown in every single game in the last 3 weeks. So, I mean, I'm just dialing up Devante Williams with confidence. I'm really curious what the Broncos are going to do next year. Like, are they going to keep Melvin Gordon, or are they going to let him go? 'Cause Melvin Gordon will be a free agent after this year. And if they do, I mean, Devante Williams is probably going to go in the first round of the draft.
I would be blessed if Gordon's gone next year. Blessed to have Devante.
I mean,
Williams.
we see the one game with no Melvin Gordon. He had like 178 total scrimmage yards and 2 touchdowns. So it's just like, and a touchdown. So it's like, yeah, if he gets that kind of workload where he's going to see 20, 25 touches a game week to week, I mean, yeah, he's going to go in the first round next year.
Yeah.
Human truck stick.
Yeah, this guy's nuts. But yeah, start him this week 100%. Going up against the Bengals. Not afraid of it. Great. Set it up. Let's go to the next one here. Sony Michel. When Sony Michel was on the Patriots, it's like he looked like he was done. That was it. But you're going to say start that man this week?
Yeah, well, you still have Darrell Henderson dealing with the COVID issue. Like I said, COVID's been running rampant through that Rams facility. Multiple players. I want to say it's like 20 players. Don't quote me on that exactly, but it's up there. There's a lot of players, and each day more and more players keep coming out and testing positive. But we came out a couple weeks ago, and we told you guys on the waiver wire, and I think we were trying to preach it each and every week, like, hey, it's no longer looking for guys who got upside. It's like, I just want to handcuff my running back. Like we said it, hey, if you have Zeke, try to get Tony Pollard. If you have, Dalvin Cook, get Alexander Madison. If you have David Montgomery, get Herbert. If you have Darrell Henderson, go get Sony Michel. And lo and behold, Darrell Henderson, he misses one game due to the quad injury, misses last week due to the COVID protocols, and he's not trending in the right direction right now. I don't believe he's practiced at all this week. So, yeah, it's looking like another week where Sony Michel is going to be the guy. The last 2 games that Darrell Henderson's been out, the snap percentage for Sony Michel, 97% and 100%. So he, I mean, like you were saying, it's the consistency for you. That's it's pretty consistent.
Yeah.
So, and in those games, 20 or more touches in both of those games. Say, obviously, last week he doesn't, get really utilized in the passing game. Doesn't fall into the end zone, but it still gets you 20 carries for 79 yards. So it's not a bad game here this week at home against Seattle. Seattle's defense, nothing you're like shying away from. So yeah, I mean, I don't think Darrell Henderson will play. It could be another situation where a couple weeks ago where he maybe they activate him, but I mean, we kind of saw it with Mari Cooper. If you're coming off of COVID, you're not feeling that good, you're recovering. He hasn't practiced all week, so I would expect another big game for Sony Michel here in terms of being the main lead guy where he sees 95 100% of the snaps again.
Yeah 97 100% in the last 2 weeks. That's crazy. Let's go to next running back here. We got our friend James Robinson. Urban Meyer's gone. What does that mean? Do you know what that means, Tyler?
It means 18-year-old girls in bars should be be aware.
Yeah, he's on the lookout.
He's on the prowl.
So what does that mean for James Robinson this week, football-wise? Not so much at the bar. Going up against the Houston Texans. If we know anything about the Houston Texans, it's they give it up like Blair to the running back position.
I mean, yeah, it's been tough if you've had James Robinson the last 2 weeks, weeks 13 and weeks 14 combined. combined in the last 2 weeks, he's had under 3 fantasy points, 2.9 PPR points. 2 weeks combined. He's had 15 total touches in those 2 weeks. So you might be a little nervous, you might be a little sketched out about starting James Robinson because he's kind of burned you. He might have almost cost you, missing the playoffs potentially these last 2 weeks because of how, inefficient or the lack of utilization might be a better word for him over there with the Jacksonville Jaguars. But, they did get rid of Urban Meyer. You got all those reports, him kicking the kicker, telling him to make his, quote-unquote fucking kicks is what he said, I guess. All getting into it, Marvin Jones, all these other things. There was, that thing at the bar with the girl. So, yeah, they finally get rid of him. It's Darrell Bevel now who is going to be the interim head coach for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And he's pretty much come out and said already, James Robinson is our starting running back, and he's our guy. So, if he's going to come out and say that, I believe in him. And, it's a good matchup here. I mean, it's, the stars are kind of aligning here for the Jaguars and this running game. The Texans allow 4.7 yards per carry. That's tied second worst in the NFL. They're giving up 148 rushing yards per game. That is the most in the NFL, and they've allowed the second most rushing touchdowns in the NFL. So if James Robinson can't get it done in this game, then he would just be dead to me. But I'm going to bank on the fact that, Darrell Bevel's going to come in, and he's going to feed this guy. And I'm expecting 20, 25 touches this game from James Robinson. I'm expecting a big James Robinson game this week.
Yeah, that's it's pretty crazy. The Houston Texans allowing so many rushing yards. And then I'm like over here looking at some of these. It's like, oh, they only allow like so many receptions. They're actually like, it's like, oh, because they don't need to throw the ball to running backs. They just run the ball up the middle. And then that's how you beat the Texans. So they don't need to. So
yeah, and it's at home too. So you get these teams traveling to Florida area. It's humid, it's hot. So it's you can kind of game plan. If I'm the coach there, I want to ground and pound. I want to just ball control, control the clock, and just basically have the defense on the field for so long. That way they get gassed. And when you get to the third, fourth quarter, it should be James Robinson should just be feasting.
Yeah. I feel like these college coaches, it's like they're good at recruiting. They're not like, if you look at like play calling, they're not that great of coaches. They're good at recruiting like big stars. And then they come into the NFL, it's like a whole different thing.
Yeah, we were talking in one of the group chats we're in. It's just, obviously Cliff Kingsbury. Kingsbury. He's probably one of the only ones I feel like in a while that's done pretty well. I mean, you got to think about these coaches back in the day. Urban Meyer obviously tanked. He had Chip Kelly coming out, who's this explosive offense back in the day from Oregon. He tanked. Granted, Nick Saban had 1 year with Miami, and that's a whole other conversation. But Miami tanked. He went back to the college football.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of tough. I mean, you got Matt Rule over there with the Panthers. Hasn't really translated yet. Obviously, they have quarterback issues over there. So it's tough. It's you get these college coaches, and it's one thing, like you said, recruiting and getting like the best of the best players in the nation. Compared to like playing in the NFL every single week where everyone is good.
Right.
And it's just a different playing field.
Recruiting's everything in college. It's just like, look at you see Deion Sanders. Sorry, I'm tangenting.
Yeah.
But Deion Sanders getting that kid. What is his name? Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
Crazy.
The second overall recruit or whatever.
Yeah, second overall recruit goes to Jackson State over FSU.
Nice.
Deion Sanders was supposed to be the coach at FSU. It's crazy. Nuts. Let's go to the next running back here. We got Ramondre Stevenson. Is this a start that man or sit that boy?
This is a start that man right here. All right. So you got Damian Harris. He's out. I want to say it's a quad, thigh, knee, ankle, hamstring injury, something like that. He's got an injury. My guy's hurt, Damian Harris, and he's out. So, this game's going to be on Saturday. This game is on Saturday. So like Mike said, make sure that you are adjusting your lineups, accordingly, and because there are 2 games on Saturday. But, Damian Harris is going to be out. So Ramondre Stevenson is going to be the guy for the New England Patriots. And 2 games where he's kind of – I don't want to say he's been the guy, but there's been 2 games where he's seen 50% or more of the snaps. And in those 2 games, he's had 24 total touches in both games. So, dial me up some Ramondre Stevenson here. To me, I think he's a solid RB2. Obviously, Brandon Bolden's probably going to get into the mix to some degree, and some third down work here and there. Probably get some carries to spell Ramondre Stevenson. But, I'm expecting another 20 touch game from Ramondre Stevenson, and when they get in close, he's going to get the goal line carries. So, yeah, I do like Ramondre Stevenson this week as a pretty solid RB2.
Yeah, not bad. Like it. Ramondre Stevenson. Put him in your lineup. Damian Harris. Let's go on to Elijah Mitchell. This is probably as far as like pickups. I think Elijah Mitchell's up there for waiver wire this year, besides Cordero Patterson. But yeah, start that man, Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah, so this one we got to monitor it. I mean, he's been dealing with the knee and concussion. It's kind of crazy because he played a couple weeks ago, and then Monday they came out and they were like, "Oh, he's got a concussion." So that means that he basically finished the game with the concussion,
right.
Week 13 against the Seattle Seahawks, where he had 25 total touches. So yeah, that's not very good. Yeah, so he missed last week. This week, they're at home against the Atlanta Falcons. This is a juicy matchup at home for the San Francisco 49ers. And the last 2 days, he's practiced like off to the side. So he hasn't been in the practice, but he's been doing some work on the sideline. That's what the reports are coming out. We're recording this early Friday morning, so we'll obviously have a little bit more information as the day goes on. You would kind of like to see him get at least a limited practice in here, but if Elijah Mitchell is on the football field on Sunday, he is in my lineup, and I'm not even thinking twice about it.
Yeah, Elijah Mitchell has changed the game for my perspective on the 49ers running backs. There was a long time where I wouldn't touch him, but Elijah Mitchell's changing it.
I mean, yeah, in the last 3 games prior to the concussion, 25 or more touches in 3 straight games. I mean, he's been balling. I mean, the guys, and like I said, it's a money matchup. Atlanta's bottom 10 in terms of, defending the run, and bottom 10 in terms of, defending the pass catching backs. So it's a money matchup, and just hopefully he can, pass the concussion protocol. I think the knee's okay. I think it's the concussion we got to get past. I think, as long as he can pass the concussion protocol, which it's nice that he's out there doing things on the side, because usually I feel like they don't even, if you have like the concussion, they don't let you do anything. They're just like, yo, you just gotta rest,
Right.
So I think he's trending in the right direction. So knock on wood, hopefully my guy can suit up on Sunday and he can help. He can help some people win their matchups. Hopefully me, because I got him in 2 of my leagues.
Okay, let's go on to the next one. Here we have sit that boy, David Johnson.
So this one was I was going to get your opinion here. I mean, it's rough if you're in the playoffs. Are you really going to try and start David Johnson? But, you got Rex Burkhead. He's out. They did pick up Royce Freeman, who did see a good amount of work last week. But would you feel any way like, hey, you're just in a pinch? Are you trying to take David Johnson? Are you trying to grab Royce Freeman? Or are you just like, dude, I'm in the playoffs. I'm not messing around with this.
Yeah, I think I'm good on these Texans running backs, to be honest. Yeah. I know that the report came out that he'll be the primary running back and whatnot. That's fine, but it's like you're the primary running back. I know it's like I've said in the past, primary running backs. If you're the guy, you're getting all the touches. It doesn't matter what team you're on. I want you getting this the snap counts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this far into the season, we're in the playoffs, like you said, I'm okay. I'm okay starting David Johnson. He hasn't had a game with over the highest amount of snap count percentage, 57% in week 4. Royce Freeman it's too all over the place.
Just a bad offense.
Yeah, I'm okay. It's just
low scoring opportunities.
What situation do you think that the Rams the Texans are going to be up early and then being able to run the ball? I feel like they're constantly having to do these 3rd and longs and these situations where they're chasing points.
Yeah.
So game script, that puts me out of it especially.
Yeah.
So I'm good. Sit that boy, David Johnson. Don't do it.
Call me crazy. This is just sidebar here, but it's like they started the year off with Mark Ingram, cut him. Phillip Lindsay, cut him. Or they traded Mark Ingram. Phillip Lindsay, cut him. They got Rex Burkhead. He's hurt. David Johnson, they traded pretty much DeAndre Hopkins away to get him. They barely utilize him. They have Scotty Phillips, who we thought maybe, after they got rid of Phillip Lindsay and Mark Ingram, that they would kind of see what they had in him because he could be the future. He doesn't really play. They pick up Royce Freeman off the waiver wire. he gets a good amount of run. It's just like what are they doing here at the running back position?
It's unpredictable.
And like what does it look like going forward? So I have this crazy theory of I think next year we're going to see a blockbuster trade where we see Christian McCaffrey on the Texans and we see Deshaun Watson on the Carolina Panthers.
Whoa.
Because I think that's the only way that trade gets done.
You want Deshaun Watson to the Panthers so bad.
I think Deshaun Watson on the Panthers would just be money. I think he could take that offense to a whole nother level. And at this point, Christian McCaffrey just can't seem to stay healthy. And it's like as talented as he is, they're paying that guy a ton of money. It's almost like, hey, dude, like all right, let's just it's almost like you got to just use your assets and like, hey, like all right, yeah, we're trading him away, but you're getting Deshaun Watson. So it's not like you're a total wash there, and obviously, they can go out. I feel like replacing a running back is a little bit more simpler than, trying to find a obviously they can't get it done. Cam Newton's not the answer. Teddy Bridgewater wasn't the answer. Sam Darnold's not the answer. PJ Walker's not the answer. So like they need a quarterback.
Because even any like if you have a decent O-line, you can have a running back that does pretty well. Like, I mean, look at James Conner's actually having a pretty good season. Not to hate on James Conner, but it's he's not like this crazy talented running back. You know what I mean? But this guy's filling, and he's getting like I think he's one of the highest touchdown percentages in the NFL right now. But yeah, so I'm with you on that. I get it. You can replace running backs for sure. You ready to go onto the wide receiver position?
Yeah, let's catch some fades.
Let's catch some fades. Stock wide receivers. Start that man. We got your favorite player, Devante Parker.
Listen, I've brought up Devante Parker like 20 times during the waiver wire episodes. Like, pick up Devante Parker, and he's been banged up for a majority of the year. So it kind of sucks because every time it's like he'd play one game, then he'd get hurt, and but this is what you've been waiting for all season long if you have Devante Parker. This week they're at home against the New York Jets. You're not really shying away from that. And like I hate saying that Devante Parker I feel like is one of these guys where he's like unguardable, but he kind of to me almost is. Maybe I'm being biased as a Dolphins fan, but if you want to look back at that game against the Patriots where it was him and Stephon Gilmore, that was the year Stephon Gilmore won the Defensive Player of the Year, and that was a must-win game for the Patriots to get into the playoffs. And Devante Parker went out there and basically just destroyed that secondary of the New England Patriots. But, I really like Devante Parker this week because the news broke. Like I said, COVID's kind of just been running rampant throughout the NFL. It's been affecting multiple teams, and one of the teams happens to be the Miami Dolphins. Jalen Waddle popped up on the COVID reserve list yesterday. So it's trending in the direction that he's probably going to miss this game. And, if there's no Jalen Waddle, Will Fuller is still, his fingers hurt. Still dealing with that broken finger. It's been like 10 weeks. He's had this broken finger. I don't know if he shattered it or what, but he's non-existent. So, this Miami passing attack is going to move through two players, and one of them is Devante Parker, and I think Devante Parker is going to see a healthy workload here. I mean, he's had 60 or more receiving yards in 4 of the 6 games he's played. Usually has a safe floor of getting you like 7, 8, 9 targets. I think we're going to see that area where he gets you 7, 8, 9, 10 possible targets this game. Because if I'm Tua, it's like, am I throwing the ball to Preston Williams, Albert Wilson, Isaiah Ford, these other guys? Or am I going to look for my playmakers in Devante Parker and Mike Gesicki? So, yeah, I definitely like Devante Parker this week against the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, especially there's a couple leagues where I'm really running back heavy, and I need wide receivers. So Devante, I don't know what's his own percentage right now. Do you know off the top of your head?
I don't know.
Okay, I'll look it up.
But his start percentage was really, really low. It was like 10%.
Yeah.
Right? It might even be less than that. It's probably less than actually because they were on a bye last week and he was hurt. So,
yeah,
but yeah, I'd be feeling confident this week for him to come out. And I think Devante Parker has a big game on Sunday.
Yeah, I like it. Definitely. Let's go on to the next wide receiver. We got Van Jefferson. Van, he's our man. Van Jefferson's been getting, it's like they signed Odell, and then all of a sudden Van Jefferson is out here. I mean, Odell's been doing better on the Rams and the Browns too, but,
Yeah. Good for Odell. We kind of touched on it, sidebar with the Odell experience. I said, hey, I would take a shot on him because if there's ever an opportunity for Odell to kind of like revamp his career, it's here with Stafford and Sean McVay and this passing attack. And, he has turned it on. So if you had Odell, good for you. Obviously, he's one of the players that's being affected by COVID, and he's going to be out on Sunday. So, I do have some confidence in Van Jefferson. Even with Odell there, Van Jefferson's been solid across the board the last 3 weeks. 17 points, 13 points, and 13 points. In PPR leagues, 18 points, 16 points, and 15 points. That's for Van Jefferson. The Vans make you dance here. He's had a touchdown in 3 straight games. Like I said, no Odell Beckham Jr., definitely dialing up Van Jefferson this week with full confidence. He's a nice guy in Dynasty that I would be trying to acquire on the low because, obviously you have Cooper Kupp, who's the guy there. They did sign Robert Woods to, a nice little contract extension within the last year or two. But, the guy's coming off an ACL. Probably not going to come back until mid-season next year. Crazy. We'll see what they do with Odell. Obviously Odell, I think he's making like $7 million this year, but, he's playing pretty good, so he's probably going to want more than that. Do they extend him? Pay him some money, possibly. But if not, going forward, if there's no Odell, he leaves in free agency. Robert Woods coming back from the ACL. It's going to be Cooper Kupp and Van Jefferson, for the first half of the season next year. Yeah. So I like Van Jefferson and his ability to go forward with this Rams offense.
Yeah. Not bad. Van Jefferson, start him this week. I will say in defense of the Seahawks defense of this team, they have been a little bit better against wide receivers since the beginning of the season last year, but I still think you got to run with Van Jefferson, Matt Stafford. You run it, love it. Even though there's that, but let's go to start that man, Chase Claypool. You starting this man? Because he's dead to me.
Yeah, he
as a Dolphins as a Steelers fan, he's drove me crazy last week.
Yeah, just being just being like not mindful of the moment. Like, hey, it's 4th down, and I get it. You convert 4th down, you keep the drive alive, but you have to be aware of like, hey, there's 20 seconds on the clock. Like, I have to get this ball, catch it, and get up and spike it right away. Like, you have to have that mentally. But sometimes you got to think too. Like these guys, we look at these football players, and as big and fast and as strong as they are, you got to remember, like they're 21 years old. They're 22 years old. Like they're kids. They're maybe not the brightest crayons in the box. Have you ever tried to talk they're still maturing and growing. He's still maturing and becoming a pros pro in a sense.
Tyler, have you ever tried to talk to a 22-year-old girl at the bar? Because you forget. You're like, 22.
I don't know about you, but I don't look like Urban Meyer.
Yeah, but okay, right. But do you know what I mean? You go talk to them and you're like, oh, they're we're like adults, and then you start having a conversation. And you're like, oh,
yeah.
Your brain is not working yet. Like the stuff that they'll say, and you have to think that these is big. Like you're saying, these guys are in the same boat. Yeah. so young. But yeah, I just hated how he didn't like really apologize. He did one of those apologies where he's like, yeah, I'm sorry that our O-lineman knocked it out of my hands. It's like, that's not an apology, dude. That's like not you taking ownership. That's you blaming somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry you got mad at me, guys.
Yeah.
Like, what? No, that's not okay. But I do think that you like starting Chase Claypool this week, though.
Even though he had the I have here 8 receptions, gets you 9 targets last week, 93 yards, and 1 bozo play. That's his stat line for last week. But I do like him in this matchup here. It's just crazy. #interesting stat. Last year, Claypool kind of lit the world on fire as a rookie. I think it was like 10 total touchdowns. Don't quote me on that exactly, but he had something like that, like 10 total touchdowns last year. He has 1 touchdown this year. 1 touchdown. That is just insane. I'm just gonna gamble here. I always say it all the time: men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. I'm gonna gamble on the fact that he's getting the targets, and that touchdown will regress to the positive side. Yeah, and it's a good matchup here. The Titans' pass defense, not very good at all. The Titans have given up the most receiving yards and the most receptions to wide receivers, and they've also given up 16 receiving touchdowns to the wide receiver position. That's the 4th most in the NFL. So if there's ever a game for Chase Claypool to come out and get his 2nd touchdown, maybe even his 3rd touchdown, maybe even his 4th touchdown of the year, it's this week against the Tennessee Titans. So I do like Chase Claypool this week.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. Chase Claypool. I think he's like a mid-tier guy that I think you could start, especially in PPR.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where, he comes out and he has a monster game. He gets you 8 catches, another, like I said, another 8 catches, 90 yards, touchdown or 2. What he did is in the past. It's all about what have you done lately. And, he comes out and he has a crazy good game. People are going to forget that play.
Yeah.
And they're just going to remember him just, balling out.
I mean, I won't forget.
Yeah. People don't forget.
People don't forget.
That was like 8 years ago.
What is the line?
He's like, I don't know. It's like super bad. He's like, remember you like shit your pants?
He's like, you remember you like go shit your pants again. He said,
it was like 8 years ago.
He's like, people don't forget. I peed my pants in 2nd grade. Okay.
Yeah, you didn't forget.
Yeah, I will never forget that. It was the most embarrassing thing ever. Yeah. I was in like timeout, and I didn't know I could get asked to go to the bathroom while I was in timeout. I thought I was like stuck there. So I had to pee so bad, and I just 100%. And then all of a sudden I was like, and I just peed all over myself.
Yeah.
No. Let's go on to the next one. We got Deshaun Jackson. Are you saying sit that boy Deshaun Jackson?
This was more of a sleeper here. I wanted to bring Deshaun Jackson up. I was
sleeper.
I was looking. I was looking at some stats here, and obviously it's tough because Deshaun Jackson, he's not getting hyper targeted. I mean, the last couple games, 4, 1, and 2. So that's pretty gross here. But he does have that one game where he breaks for 3 catches, 102 yards, and the touchdown. I'm thinking that if you need a boom game, you need a player like, hey, I'm just. I'm swinging for the fences. This is my Hail Mary. I'm swinging for the fences. I need a player who can get me 25, 30 points possibly, because, I don't need a safe floor. I need a high ceiling. This is, like I said, sleeper. Sleeper. I'm just going to emphasize this. But, like I said, COVID has affected multiple teams, and there's been one team that has probably hit the hardest, and that is the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns have lost everybody. I mean, they just lost again today. Jadeveon Clowney's out. They're actually down their top
20 players. Right?
Yeah, they're down their top 3 safeties. I think it's like Grant DuPlitt. He's out with a concussion, I believe. And Josh Johnson, I think, is another name. Don't quote me on that. They got Greg Newsome, who's one of their top corners. So yeah, the Browns are down their top 3 safeties, and they're probably going to be without their top 3 starters out of the 5 cornerbacks that they have. So they're basically playing with 3rd, 4th string players and practice squad players. The Cleveland Browns are. And obviously when you're having protocols like that, you can't really practice, so you're doing virtual meetings. So these practice squad guys aren't really getting on the field with them. So if there's one player in the NFL who can, kind of Tyreek Hill it and just, burn you on a deep pass, it's Deshaun Jackson. So like I said, it's a sleeper play. It's a Hail Mary play. I mean, maybe if you're, you want to do a DFS play, he's probably dirt cheap in DFS, but yeah, I like the possibility that Deshaun Jackson breaks off a big touchdown this week against a
touchdown.
A Cleveland Browns team that has just been ravaged by the COVID virus.
So you're saying play Raiders defense?
Yeah, it's not a bad.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Not a bad one.
Yeah, Deshaun Jackson, fucking line it up, baby. Okay, let's go on to the next one.
Yep.
Let's go on to the tight end position. We have David Njoku. David Njoku. Is this because he's the last man standing on the Cleveland Browns or what?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
no Jarvis Landry.
I mean, yeah, no Jarvis Landry. It was, last week, I know in a couple leagues, me and Dre, we picked up Austin Hooper, who has been terrible pretty much the whole season. But, he was the last man standing there. David Njoku missed due to the COVID. Harrison Bryant missed due to the ankle injury. Yeah, and Austin Hooper came out. He had a nice game. He's a top 10 tight end for you there. So if you started Austin Hooper, you're pretty excited with what you got from him there. But, yeah, David Njoku, he really is the last man standing here. I mean, there's so many players out for the Browns. It is ridiculous.
Inexperienced, or not inexperienced, but, no Baker, right?
Yeah, I mean, so Baker Mayfield's out. You got Case Keenum, who tested positive the other day, so he's out. So the only downside here is that it's going to be Nick Mullins.
Bro, Nick Mullins is good.
Yeah, it's going to be Nick Mullins at the quarterback position. But if there's one thing we saw with Nick Mullins,
Nick Mullins.
If there's one thing we saw with Nick Mullins with his stint with the 49ers, he's kind of like a gunslinger. Like, he's not afraid to stretch the field and throw the football. So, yeah, I mean, you got Baker out, Case Keenum's out, Jarvis Landry is out, Austin Hooper's out. You got their offensive guard, Jedrick Willis is out. Wyatt Teller, the offensive guard, is out. Kareem Hunt is out. So, I mean, obviously you're going to see Nick Chubb get some run. Donovan Peoples-Jones is there. You got Anthony Schwartz. But, if there's a guy who's kind of like a big body guy who can go up and get those 50-50 balls, I mean, obviously Donovan Peoples-Jones is that same way as well. But, David Njoku is a guy who, I feel like shot in the dark. I mean, TJ Hawkinson, he's out for the year. I think he broke his hand and he's out for the year. I got TJ Hawkinson in 2 leagues, and I'm, it's tough to find a replacement at the tight end position, especially this late in the year. So, yeah, to lose a guy like TJ Hawkinson who's a, top 5, top 6 tight end, that's rough. So, just, scouring the waiver wire, trying to find any type of replacement, I think Njoku is a sneaky start here because, like you said, he is the last man standing, and I think, he's de facto should be able to get some of these targets here. And it's a good matchup here. I mean, the Raiders aren't very good against defending the tight end position. They're actually bottom 5 defense in terms of defending the tight end position. So.
Yeah, chasing points, throw it to the big guy, inexperienced guy like Nick Mullins. Is you, Nick Mullins.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I could definitely, I agree with you. Play David Njoku. That is a good spot for a pinch, I might take your advice right now.
Yeah.
Might go swoop him up.
Yeah.
Pick him up.
Pick him up.
All right, let's go to the next tight end. We got Ricky Seals-Jones. I'm going up against Ricky Seals-Jones in a fantasy football playoff this week. Should I be scared? Are we starting that man or are we sitting that boy?
I mean, this is another one here where I feel like if you're kind of in the pinch, like you said, TJ Hawkinson, is out. So it's like, hey, I got to find a replacement. Maybe you don't feel comfortable with Njoku, with Nick Mullins there. This one was Ricky Seals-Jones, it's a good matchup. The Eagles are the worst team in terms of defending the tight end. They've given up the most touchdowns to the tight end. They're giving up the most receptions to the tight ends, and they've given up the most receiving yards to the tight end position. The only bad thing is that Taylor Heineke came out, and he is now on the COVID-19 list, so he will be out as well.
Meow.
Which I think now they have. I'm trying to read the report here. I want to say Garrett Gilbert would be the backup quarterback. What's up with Fitzpatrick? Is he dead?
Yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick has passed away. Demaryius Thomas and him are hanging out.
Oh, dude, too soon.
Too soon. Sorry. No, sorry.
He had surgery. Fitzpatrick had surgery.
Yeah. Because I think when he went out, he's like, all right, let me get this fixed.
So I mean, this one, like I said, it's kind of, if Heineke was at quarterback, I would feel 10 times more confidence, 100 more confidence. But obviously, Heineke being out due to COVID now, the matchup is money. The Eagles they give it up, as we say, like Blair, to the tight end position. So this one is kind of, how lucky do you feel? Because it's tough. I think I would, Njoku or Ricky Seals-Jones, who are you feeling?
I like Nick Mullins.
Yeah.
So I might go David Njoku on that one.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go David Njoku on that one. I'm just going to go with it.
And guess what? That's why we put him first.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you on that. But, yeah, not a bad spot, though. It's me, Nick Mullins. All right, let's go to next tight end.
Yes, sir.
Start that man, Mike Gesicki.
Yeah, definitely start Mike Gesicki. 11 targets the last game before their bye. Gets you 7 catches for 46 yards there. Like I said earlier, we're talking about Devante Parker. Jalen Waddle ends up on the COVID list. Will Fuller's still out. It's just, if I'm Tua, it's like, who am I throwing the football to? I'm throwing the ball to Devante Parker, and I'm throwing the ball to Mike Gesicki. And each of these guys, in my opinion, should have 10 targets each. So, yeah, I'm definitely dialing up Mike Gesicki. It's kind of short, sweet, and simple with Gesicki here. I'm expecting big games from Gesicki. I'm expecting a big game from Devante Parker. I'm just, thinking that, let's say, Tua's been highly efficient with the football. He's been, 80% throwing the football recently, 75%, 80% throwing the football recently. So if Tua gets you 25, 26 completions, I mean, I'm going to say like 18 of those probably go to 18 of those probably go to like Gesicki and Parker. Even if like 15 or 16 go, that means that's still like 7-8 catches each for Gesicki and Devante Parker.
I thought you were saying just to Gesicki.
No.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do think that they account for majority of Tua's passing work this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mike Gesicki's always been solid. Remember when we were talking about pick up Mike Gesicki and someone was like, "I'm good."
Yeah.
Remember they said that?
Yeah,
and
they're
then,
like
5 weeks later
they wanted Higbee.
Yeah,
they said Higbee over Gesicki.
They're like, "Yeah, I'm good on trusting Gesicki. I'm good with Higbee."
Yeah, they're probably not in the playoffs.
You guys are crazy. You think I'm gonna pick up Mike Gesicki? Okay. Do we have any more tight ends, or is that it?
We got one more.
One more. We got our boy Hunter Henry. Are we starting that man or sitting that boy?
So yeah, this is another one where like the stars align for the money matchup here. I mean, they're playing against the Colts, and Hunter Henry, his premise or what he's been really good at this year is touchdowns. But
he just falls in the end zone.
In the games where he doesn't score a touchdown, you're not happy with what you're getting in terms of the fantasy production here. One thing that is positive is like he's got 8 touchdowns on the year. I think Jonnu Smith, who they actually paid more money, has 1 touchdown on the year. So for what it's worth, Mac Jones trusts or has a better connection and rapport with Hunter Henry. But the matchup is juicy here. The Colts have allowed the second most receptions to the tight end position, and they have allowed the second most touchdowns to the tight end position. So yeah, it's how lucky do you feel? Because like I said, he's either gonna fall into the end zone and he's gonna put up some decent numbers for you there, or if he doesn't fall into the end zone, it's gonna be gross. But I mean, I think at this point where you said I keep saying it, Hawkinson's out, or I'm probably starting Hunter Henry over Ricky Seals-Jones. I'm starting Hunter Henry over Tyler Higbee and stuff like that because I will just gamble on the touchdown upside that he presents every given week.
Yeah. Fuck. Start that man, Hunter Henry. Sorry, I was just looking at something and it distracted me for a second. But yeah, Hunter Henry really does just fall in the end zone. If you get that touchdown, you're happy. That's all you need for your tight end. Yeah, start that man, Hunter Henry. You ready to talk about some defenses?
Let's run it. Defenses.
Streaming defenses for Week 15. Start that man. We got the Miami Dolphins.
Defense. Yeah, Miami's defense has been
hot like cancel going up against the New York Jets on first week of playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sign me up. I mean, home against the Jets. Like I said earlier, it's hot, it's humid in these Florida towns. So you get a team like New York who's not used to that. Obviously, they have the ability to kind of wear down, towards the tail end or the second half of the game. But I don't know what it is, what Miami did here, but they switched something up. I don't know if it's these rookies coming in. Obviously, Javon Holland came in. Jalen Phillips, the edge rusher rookie as well. Javon Holland's going to miss this game due to COVID, but first 8 games of the season, Miami only 12 sacks. So 12 sacks, first 8 games. In the last 5 games, so 3 less, they have 19 sacks. So they've played 3 less games, and they have 7 more sacks than they did in the first 8 games. And their defense has just been pretty stout. They've held opponents to 17 or fewer points in all 5 of those games. So their defense has been playing lights out. Xavier Howard's been doing his thing. I feel like he gets an interception every single week. One of the most underrated players probably. I feel like he doesn't get as much credit as he deserves. Byron Jones finally healthy. The Holland has been balling for us as well. Like I said, he's gonna miss, but Jalen Phillips has really turned it on. I think he's got 7-8 sacks in the last couple games, so he's been a big part of why this Miami defense has been rolling.
Yeah, not a bad start. Miami Dolphins defense against the New York Jets.
Jets, no Corey Davis, IR. Elijah Moore, IR. Zach Wilson hasn't. He's probably looked the worst out of all these quarterbacks, to be honest, in some weird way. He's looked pretty bad compared to, Mac Jones.
He's looked really
Trevor
bad.
Lawrence has looked bad, but Zach Wilson has made Trevor Lawrence look good.
Right. Yeah, if Zach Wilson wasn't playing he wasn't the same as Trevor Lawrence, we would be talking about Trevor Lawrence way more.
Yeah.
About how bad he is. But let's go on to next defense here. We got the Las Vegas Raiders. I think this is, we were just talking about how the Browns are decimated, and I think that's you don't get excited about playing the Raiders defense, I think, but in this week you can. And this is a team that you can definitely stream this week. You're going up against a third-string quarterback. I mean, just that alone, besides all the other things, all the other players out, I think that says it itself.
I mean, yeah, it's like you said, they've been hit by COVID probably worse than any other team, minus the Los Angeles Rams over there. But, they're out. Their offensive tackle, Jedrick Willis, Wyatt Teller, the offensive guard, he's really good as well. Hashtag interesting stat I saw, I think it was on Instagram, but it was like the most quarterback pressures from like duos of a defensive lineman, and it was the Las Vegas Raiders. It was Yannick and Ngakoue, or however you pronounce his name, and Max Crosby.
Yeah.
So, you're telling me I'm getting now the Cleveland Browns, who are down, 2-3 offensive linemen, and then now they're facing against a duo who leads the NFL in quarterback pressures. Yeah, sign me up on that one. I think this is a good matchup, a good streaming option here for the Las Vegas Raiders. You got Desmond Trufant, Casey Hayward on the outside as well. So, I think they can limit guys like Donovan Peoples-Jones and whoever else is on the outside, Anthony Schwartz, Rashad Higgins, whoever it is, so I think they can limit those guys right there. That's why I kind of felt a little more comfortable starting Njoku, because I feel like, at least you can move him, middle of the field more,
Sure.
not to the outside, and, quick short passes compared to, these other receivers who got to, run down the field.
Yeah. Do you, I'm just curious for this game, do you get scared for would you be down to play Dearness Johnson? I'm just curious.
Probably not, because you don't know how much work he's going to get, and then it's, they're down a couple offensive linemen. So I'd be trying to find some other options if I could.
Yeah. I'm with you too. Like, because I have Dearness Johnson in a couple leagues, and it's like, oh, Kareem Hunt's out. You think like, oh yeah, but it's just, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it either. I'm not playing him, but just curious. Let's go to the Buffalo Bills against the where are we at? Carolina Panthers. Sorry, Bills defense against the shady quarterback situation against the Panthers.
Yeah, I mean, this was probably more owned than not, more started than not. But I mean, this would probably be one of my favorite defenses if you have them. It's maybe outside of the Miami Dolphins. This is definitely one of my favorite defenses to play this week. I'll definitely be trying to get them into my lineup if possible. I mean, like I said, they're at home against the Carolina Panthers. Cam Newton just looks terrible. P.J. Walker's, just a backup quarterback. Sam Darnold probably not going to play. Yeah. It's just that Panthers offense is just, it's a mess. It's a mess. So,
yeah.
And the Bills, they, probably need a get-right game coming off that tough loss against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last week. So, yeah, I'm expecting them to come home and kind of just, shut down this Carolina Panthers offense. We kind of saw what Miami did to Carolina a couple weeks ago. I'm expecting the Bills to kind of do this similar thing to them.
Nice. Bills against Panthers. If you have them, definitely start them. Let's go. Here we go. We got the Jaguars defense. This is the one where I'm like, whoa. Jaguars defense. If this was 2017, I'd be all about it.
Yeah.
As I pull up the Saxonville highlights.
Yeah. So, smack my ass and call me crazy, but am I crazy for starting the Jacksonville Jaguars defense this week?
Kind of.
I mean, I'm just thinking this.
It's a Houston Texans, so I get it.
Yeah, it's Houston Texans. It's David Mills. I'm not really sold on David Mills as a quarterback. Not yet, at least. No offense to him. They don't really have too many weapons outside of Brandon Cooks, I feel like. Like you said, this running back situation is a mess for the Texans. And, they're at home. And it's one of those things where it's like, hey, the coach just got fired. And it's like, I mean, I don't know. This could go one of two ways. Like, the team could just crumble and say, we just lost our head coach. Like, the season's fucking over, yada, yada. Like, we just want to get through the season, pack it up, and go home. Or they can come out, home game, and just be like, yo, fuck Urban Meyer. Like, we want to come out. We want to ball out. And they just, like, shit all over the Houston Texans. So
I definitely see that happen.
I'm kind of, leaning more towards them coming out and just having, like, a really good game after Urban Meyer getting fired. So that's kind of what I was thinking here. I'm kind of in a pinch. Why don't you help me out?
Sure.
So I got the Jaguars. These are my options. I could do the Jaguars. I could do the Las Vegas Raiders, or I could do the Denver Broncos at home against the Cincinnati Bengals.
I would go the Raiders actually on that one.
Raiders, huh? I think you're making some solid points here.
I'm gonna say, look, dude. You're asking. I mean, I like the Steelers. Live in Las Vegas, and I mean, dude, I feel like defense is all about what you could do that week. Like, it really isn't who the players are, because everybody's pretty good on defense for the most part. Like we're always saying, the NFL, everybody's good.
Yeah.
But when you're going down to when you're decimated from, it's not so much that the backup players for the Browns aren't good enough to play in the league. What it is that sorry, I just lost my train of thought. No, what it is that the Brown, like, oh my God, I'm brain farting so hard. It's not so much that they're losing, like those players can't play. It's that, it changes their entire game plan. Like, think of it, an offensive coordinator. You game plan around like what players you have, and when you're down to like second or third stringers or whatnot, like you really like have to like you have to change your entire offense, like how things are going to go and how plays are going to be made, and especially when it's all last minute like this, it's going to be scary. I would be surprised if the Browns were able to come out and do much, to be honest. But
all right, dude, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna
I like the Raiders.
I'm gonna take your advice here. I'm picking up the Raiders.
Don't do
right
that.
now.
No, wait. I was gonna pick them up.
Done.
Oh, damn it.
Done, dude.
You
Playing
picked
the
them up?
Raiders, dude. You sold me, dude.
Damn, dude. I was about to pick up the freaking Raiders. That's in our league, huh?
Yep.
Bastard. See, he snaked me, bastard.
See what I did there? I tricked you into talking. That way you weren't thinking, and while you were talking, I went and swooped them up.
Oh, you bastard.
Yeah. That's called strategy.
Strategery.
Yeah.
Very good strategery. Well, that's it for today, right?
That is it.
That's all we got for you. Thanks for checking us out. Appreciate everyone who's subscribed, everyone who's left a rating and review on the podcast. Appreciate, everything. You guys have been awesome. This has been a fantastic season. A lot of growth. And, I hope you guys get a playoff win for week one of playoffs. I hope you win. Anything else you want to say?
Yeah, no, hopefully you guys can secure that dub in advance. And, like I said, if you got that first round bye, you were the first seed or second seed, don't sleep on it. You got to stay up to date. You got to stay up to date on these injuries. You got to stay up to date on, the players, all that stuff. COVID. Obviously, COVID is, like I said, it's just affecting so many teams right now. And,
it's Omicron,
you don't want to fall asleep at the wheel in a sense, thinking like, oh yeah, like I got a first round bye, I'm good. And then but maybe your running back gets COVID now. So go make sure you have some running back depth, maybe, like I said, TJ Hawkinson goes down, just make sure you have that depth at the positions, get that tight end position, Yeah. Look a week in advance, like in, 2 of the leagues I got to buy, but it's like, I'm already thinking about like, okay, like, yeah, I have my defense for next week, but that defense I had, in the championship week, it's a tough matchup. So I'm already thinking like, okay, well, like, let me go grab another defense already that has a good matchup in championship week. That way I can already have them on my bench, and it's like I'm just ready to go. You know what I'm saying? Instead of waiting for that week of championship week to try to find a good defense. So yeah, you just gotta look in advance, kind of plan ahead and stuff like that.
100%. Look forward to the championship week.
Gotta manifest it.
Yep, that's it. So thanks for listening, and us big boys
are out.
Hey, I say it.
Hey, that's what I say.
No, I say it.
Yeah, we say it together.
Oh yeah, okay.
We're out.
This has been the AVG Fantasy Football Podcast. Please leave a rating and review. Thank you.